Welcome to the hottest entertainment blog on the internet today, the A-List. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And tonight I am joined by a very special guest. He is all around the internet. He's definitely, you'll catch him on my Twitter, talking with the Sinister Six. He's basically a member, you know, the Sinister Seventh, I think we called him. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Taylor.
Hey, what's happening? I'm glad to be on the show.
Hopefully you had a great Independence Day, Josh.
I did. I saw no fireworks or anything. I went to a concert that night, so I had Mexican food, and I went to see a band from France. So it was very American.
Why don't you tell the fans here a little bit about yourself?
My name is Josh Taylor, and I run a website called modernmouseradio.com. We do a mix of blog posts, live shows, videos, and of course, the radio show. Our podcast is kind of our main thing, and the whole point of Modern Mouse is simply a much more modern look at things, as well as just a younger feel in general. When I started with a lot of Disney stuff, what I found most websites were a lot of family-oriented things. Most people running them or doing podcasts or blogging or whatever were in their 40s or 50s, and they were talking about their family trips. And I didn't want to talk about that. That appeals to me slightly, but I was interested in creating a website for teens or 20-somethings that didn't have kids, that were looking for a different side of Disney, nightlife, or going out and eating at restaurants or drinking, or just having kind of a all-around fun time, and knowing that there are other people that are in their mid-20s or teens or early 20s or whatever that are also into that. So Modern Mouse Radio is kind of geared towards that genre of people. And then at the same time, a lot of our blog posts and stuff are kind of all over the place. So we have stuff about food, we have stuff about planning trips, we have stuff, I do like a movie history piece right now, but everything that we try and write for the blogs are usually a little bit more personal or comical, and a little bit less factual, so to speak, so that it kind of brings a different spin on that as well. If a lot of people have ever seen Cracked.com and seen a lot of their blog posts, we try and kind of mimic that style in the sense that it's all around an entertaining piece to read, and maybe you get some information out of it, but it's still fun to read and you laugh or whatever along with it.
I am a big fan of Modern Mouse Radio. I love the podcasts, love the live shows, and I love your articles, by the way, on the movies, because I'm a big movie fan, of course.
The movie guy, yeah.
I read your latest one about Song of the South. I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Splash Mountain fan. So it's good to see. I saw Song of the South once, I think, and I was sort of like,
I've seen it once, and the first time I ever saw it actually was maybe a year and a half ago, because I wanted to see what the big deal was about the film, and I found it on YouTube. So if anybody's looking, you can probably find the full movie on YouTube. It's an interesting film. It's definitely not the best acting you've ever seen in your life.
Especially the kids.
And like the funny thing, I wrote this in the article, is that the boy that plays Johnny, they hired him, and he had done a couple of smaller roles, but he really hadn't done anything huge, and they actually signed him as like a Disney studio actor. So at that time, like in the golden age of Hollywood, you would sign actors or whatever to so many movie deals, and so they signed that boy to a movie deal. I think he ended up playing in like 10 different Disney films, and he is my least favorite part of A Song of the South, because it's so like it's so clear that he's acting. And I'm now looking forward to going back through all of the movies that he's done as we move forward, because I write about all of them chronologically, and kind of almost giving him a hard time throughout all of the movies that he's been in, because his acting from Song of the South is so bad.
Uncle Ramus, tell us about Brer Rabbit. There's going to be a live show Sunday, July 7th.
Right. Sunday, July 7th is a live show. We usually do a live show. We try and do one once a month, maybe twice a month. But this will actually be the first time that we have done a live show without Ryan Brown, who usually is our live show guy. I'm going to try and run it without him, so we'll see how that goes. But you are going to be on, as well as Angie Carrero, who is a writer for the blog. I believe Alexa Christensen, who is also a writer for our blog, is going to be on. Keith Lappenig is my co-host for the podcast. He will be on. And Safari Mike from JumboEveryone.com.
Oh, cool.
And is also going to be on. And we're going to be talking Mickey Mouse shorts, new Mickey Mouse shorts. So it'll be interesting because those just came out. I'm sure a lot of people have opinions. Don't share your opinion right now because I'm not going to share mine. I want to kind of leave that to the show and see what people think of the new shorts, whether you like them or hate them. And live shows are always fun because we always get people involved in the audience and ask for opinions and ask questions, and so it'll be a lot of fun.
Definitely looking forward to it. It should be a blast.
Yeah.
I have to ask, what is your favorite Disney Parks attraction? And I'm talking any park.
That's tough. I go back and forth on a lot of things because I'm a huge thrill ride person. I've always been like into whatever the craziest, fastest thing is. You know, if I'm going to possibly die on it, I want to ride it. That's just been my thing. But especially since becoming a Disney, I guess more like a Disney historian and kind of looking back on a lot of stuff in the history of things, I am a really big fan of a lot of the dark rides in Fantasyland. And my favorite thing that I have to do every time I'm down in Florida is the Carousel of Progress. I have to always see the Carousel of Progress. It is called Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress because it truly is like a lot of what Walt believed in that ride. So I think that's probably my favorite attraction on that side. On the flip side, like, I could ride Tower of Terror all day, and from like jumping into the line and seeing all the details to getting off of the ride, it is one of the most detailed, best attractions that you'll find at any amusement park in the world ever. It's awesome. So I would say between those two, it always kind of flip-flops, but and there's others too, but I could probably list like 17 things right now that I love.
Going from Disney parks to movies, another thing we talk about here on the A-List a lot. What is your favorite movie of all time?
That Thing You Do is a movie that I love. I love the 1950s and early 60s. So I like period films in that era. I love the early rock and roll music. Tom Hanks, who is one of my favorite actors. Ethan Embry is in that film. Steve Zahn. Like, there's just so many great actors in that film. And then it's just got cool music, and it's a great period piece. They did such a good job with it. And maybe I made this clear in one of my reviews, and maybe it'll shock people, that one of my favorite Disney films that I've reviewed historically, anyways, up to this point, has been Make Mine Music, and I will probably fight people to the death to say that Make Mine Music is a far superior film than Fantasia is. As far as just film, Fantasia definitely gave us a lot of great things. It was a total first-time thing, never been done before. It's the reason that we have surround sound. It's the reason that we have like surround sound in our homes. The movie theaters have surround sound, but Make Mine Music was, I think, at the time, anyways, a much more successful film, and yet the one that gets more credit is Fantasia, and Make Mine Music, like, people pretty much haven't even heard of. All time, I have to say, That Thing You Do, I could watch it once a week and never get sick of it.
What would you say is your favorite movie you've seen so far this year?
You know what? I am a huge fan of Robert Downey Jr. and I have to say Iron Man 3. Also because Shane Black directed, and I am a huge fan of Shane Black's writing and directing style. You could clearly tell the difference between Iron Man 1 and 2 and Iron Man 3 as far as the humor thrown into it. Robert Downey Jr. plays a character that's a little more sarcastic and a little bit more kind of standoffish with people than he has previously, which I love about that character, and I think Robert Downey Jr. just pulls off that like lovable, sarcastic prick really well.
What movies are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
And it's because, I mean, I'm gonna see him because I'm a Disney guy, and I'm pretty much seeing all the Disney movies just to, you know, for research purposes, even though I just love going. But a lot of people are anticipating Frozen because they haven't shown us jack about it.
that great teaser trailer the other week.
And it's based on Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen. Andersen also wrote The Little Mermaid. So you're talking about a very highly successful movie for Disney. And kind of this is almost like a sequel to that in the sense that it's from the same writer. So it should have almost the same feel as The Little Mermaid did. So I'm interested to see that, and I'm interested to see what Disney does, especially with the animation style, and see if they start moving in more of a hand-drawn animation way. And they've also already announced that the short cartoon before it is going to be a Mickey Mouse hand-drawn short, so I'm interested in seeing that short. But the film that I think that I'm most excited about, again, it goes back to Tom Hanks, is Saving Mr. Banks, and about the making of Mary Poppins and Walt Disney trying to make Mary Poppins. It took, almost the better part of 20 years to make that film for him, as far as getting the rights to making the movie, the fight that he had with the author, and what that meant in the long run for Disney was huge. Mary Poppins was one of the most successful films they had. I'm interested to see what they do. I know they shot some stuff at Disneyland, so I'm anxious to see how they shot 1960s period stuff in the middle of crowds of 2012 and 2013.
And we'll have to see if Jeff Heinbuch ends up in it somehow, because, you know, he's like the mayor of Disneyland now.
He is the mayor of Disneyland now. He's been there, I don't know, countless times at this point. He moved out there like maybe a month or two ago, and I'm pretty sure he's made his annual pass worth it. Jeff Heinbuch, I make fun of him all the time, and I give him a hard time, but he is a good guy, and he's works really hard, and he's made something pretty cool for himself, and I am following his footsteps, kind of. But I won't admit that, even though I just did.
People, don't you know it's about time. Can you hear the jam is pumping while you taste the...
All right, before we start the news, I promised this person I would give her a shout-out on the A-list. Jen Mia83, who's a mutual friend of ours, Josh. She was in my 6,000th tweet. So she wanted to know what she got for it. That's what you get.
Cool. Nice.
She's cool. I'm hoping to have her on sometime in the next few weeks on the show.
Absolutely. That'd be cool.
Disney park rumors that I wanted to address on the show for a couple weeks now, and now they've been building and building and building, so let's get to this. First up, we'll start with the Cars Land rumors. There's been rumors that Cars Land could be moving to Hollywood Studios at Disney World. After its mega success, Jeff was on here a couple weeks ago, and he was telling us how great Cars Land is. And what it would take over would be the backlot studio tour and the Lights Motor Action Stunt Car Show, whatever it's called. I say definitely do it.
And this is how I felt since the beginning. And even with Cars Land, as it is now at Disneyland, highly successful. I'll give it that. However, I've always felt, I said this a couple of weeks ago on our podcast, and I think I've said it a couple of times on different podcasts, I am not a proponent of Cars Land. I'm not a proponent of it at Disneyland. I'm not a proponent of it at Walt Disney World, because I'm not interested in a single franchise land. Right now it is super successful. I think that keeping it at Disneyland and keeping it only in one place, it will continue to be successful. However, it's the same thing with the Wizarding World over at Universal Studios. Single property lands are great for the time being, but putting that amount of money into something that you're not sure will continue to be a successful franchise in the future is quite risky. I think that's why when Disney originally built Disneyland, the lands were much more broad. Fantasy, adventure, tomorrow, etc. And then you can kind of, fill things in there. So, yeah, you can have the Indiana Jones ride in Adventureland because it fits. And if that eventually isn't successful anymore because Indiana Jones, isn't successful for whatever reason, they can replace that. It's really hard for me to imagine spending however many billions of dollars on a giant expansion or land at MGM Studios, even if I am very much for getting rid of Lights Motors Action and getting rid of the backlot tour as it is, because it's the worst backlot tour ever.
It sucks. There's no doubt about it. It sucks.
Especially considering that I was on the backlot tour when it was amazing, and it was 45 minutes, an hour long, and you got to see all kinds of cool stuff. And now it's like maybe 15 minutes long, and it's just not worth the time. Personally, I wish that they could do something better with that space. It would be interesting, especially since Pixar Place is there, to expand Pixar Place into adding in maybe a Radiator Springs Racers, because it has proven successful, but then to also add in some other things. Obviously, Monsters Inc. and Monsters University has now proven itself, and we have Mike and Sully to the rescue over at California Adventure. It would be cool to see them bring that over. So I'm not a proponent for Cars Land. I'm a proponent to add some Cars elements, but not as a whole land.
I definitely agree with you. I think it would probably be a better idea to just do the Radiator Springs if they have to bring anything, and add it to Pixar. Just make Pixar Place that whole section. Maybe do the Monsters Inc. ride. Maybe some other Pixar. Maybe do some other Pixar stuff with that. Do a show or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see the Ratatouille show?
Also, in Hollywood Studios, another area that could be expanded is the Star Tours area into a Star Wars land. Now, this is a very successful thing for Star Wars, and obviously Disney bought them out last year. That was a big thing. And where this would take place would be, it would take the place of either the Muppets 3D, Muppet Vision, and the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground, which I'm fine with taking away the playground, or move the Muppets or something, or the Backlot Express, and the Indiana Jones stunt show, which I'm sort of over Indiana Jones stunt show, but whatever. So I'd probably be more in tune for that one, to do that with take over the restaurant and the Indiana Jones show. Hopefully we get the Mos Eisley Cantina. That's one of the things on my list that I would love to see, and a lot of other people.
Star Wars is become almost pop culture in American society. even internationally. Star Wars has definitely just become a huge phenomenon since the 70s, and to have a miniature land, I don't think that they need another attraction per se. Maybe one more attraction, but to add in the Cantina restaurant would be pretty much every Star Wars fan's dream. To be able to sit in the Cantina, to extend and have the Jedi Training Academy be a bigger, better thing than it is because it's proven successful. Star Tours obviously is a huge success. And maybe to, instead of doing Star Wars weekends, maybe we'll have better Star Wars weekends, but to have meet and greet characters there all the time, you know, you can always have a Yoda meet and greet or whatever. It would be a huge thing, I think, for the studios too. But as far as a rumored Star Wars land, I'm for it as long as it is kept to more of a miniature land than a huge expansion. I don't think that we need, you know, 6 different attractions and 2 restaurants and things like Cars Land. I think that keeping it a little bit smaller and a little more intimate might be fun.
We're going to shift to another Florida theme park that has been having some rumors this week. You may have seen it on my Facebook or Twitter. I was not very happy about this news. Rumor has it that Universal could be replacing the E.T. adventure with a Smurfs ride. And if you're a fan of old school Universal like I am, you'll know that E.T. Adventure is basically their last original ride that is left that hasn't been replaced by something in that theme park. Can't you just leave one alone?
It's Universal Studios really trying to one-up Disney, and it's unfortunate because in the past few years they lost King Kong, they lost Jaws, they've lost E.T., they lost Back to the Future. All, in my opinion, classic films at this point. And what they've replaced them with, I think, works now. Again, much like the Cars Land thing, you know, they replaced it with Transformers, The Simpsons, now the Smurfs. I don't know how long these attractions are going to stand the test of time. You're right, E.T. was the last thing that was still standing from the original, and it is kind of sad to see it go to be replaced by the Smurfs, which again in 10 years will probably not be nearly as relevant as E.T.
Universal has been on my naughty list for like the last couple years. I'm just getting more separated from it. Disney has set release dates for a 3rd mystery Marvel title. This one coming out May 5th, 2017. Stan Lee has confirmed that a Black Panther movie is coming, so it could be that one. Or it could be Doctor Strange, or some of the other Marvel films, you know, a Guardians of the Galaxy sequel.
I feel like they are really pushing things and almost going to wear them out quickly. The superhero movie genre has been huge for, gosh, quite a long time. We've gotten at least one superhero movie almost every summer for years and years now.
Yeah, I think starting with the X-Men, I think it started with.
But it's been like a solid 15 years or so of constant superhero movies, and they still make money, so more power to them. Marvel can keep on making money, and Stan Lee is more popular than he's probably ever been.
Yeah, definitely. The superhero movies always usually end up being my favorite movies of the year, so I'm definitely always looking forward to them. Hopefully they can stay as good as they are now, a little bit down the road, and not be like, we just gotta throw something together quick and have it out by next year. Disney also announced that Cinderella, their live-action film directed by Kenneth Branagh, interestingly enough, who directed Thor, will be coming out March 13th, 2015. So there's the March Disney movie, for those who are keeping score. That should be interesting, I think. I'll be game to see what happens.
Yeah, and I think that they did really well with Enchanted. I think that was kind of their first real foray into something like that. Enchanted did really well as far as the live action. Of course, it was more spoofing, you know, their own stuff than anything. but of course we're getting Maleficent, I think, next year. So that'll be interesting. And like you said, 2015 is going to be a huge year for Disney, and they're going to have a film, at least 6 films, I think, that year. But I think it's going to be an interesting twist on a classic tale. We'll see.
Going on with more superhero movie news, there were rumors this week that came out about Amazing Spider-Man 2, once again. Harry Osborn might be playing the Green Goblin instead of Norman, which really messes up the mythos. I'm pretty sure it's Norman that kills off a major character in what probably will happen in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I'm sort of like, I don't know about that.
Again, you said Iron Man 3 is one of your favorite films of the year, yet the Iron Man mythos got thrown out the window.
That's true.
Keeping true to the mythos, or really keeping true to any book at this point for a long, long time, has never been the case as far as script writing is concerned in Hollywood.
And Man of Steel also sort of threw some things of their mythos out the window, definitely earlier this year, too.
Right. And that's just always going to happen with any comic book, with any novel, whatever they turn into a movie, always gets changed.
We were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy earlier, which we know opens August 1st, 2014. Also that day opening will be the much anticipated 50 Shades of Grey movie. It's anticipated by soccer moms, I suppose. But, oh man, that's going to be interesting. An interesting battle at the box office for sure.
Right, that's going to be interesting. Will it carry over as a good film? As far
and what will it be rated, as what I'm wondering.
That's true.
It'll have to be really hard R, I guess.
I mean, the audience for Guardians of the Galaxy is probably not the audience for 50 Shades. However, there might be like a small 2 to 3% of people that are gonna go, man, what am I gonna see this weekend?
Now it's time for this week's box office prediction. Last week, I predicted that Monsters U would once again take the #1 spot. And it did, making my score 175-41. I've been doing this a while, Josh, as you can see.
Okay, yeah.
This week, we have some interesting new releases. We have The Lone Ranger, we have Despicable Me 2, and I don't think this movie has much of a chance, but Kevin Hart's let me explain. I don't think it's even playing anywhere near me. But I was all ready to predict The Lone Ranger a couple weeks ago, but that's not going to happen anymore. After I've seen certain things and heard basically nothing good about this movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I will review it soon, and we'll see what happens. I'm going with Despicable Me 2, which I have seen, I enjoyed, and you can check out my review. It's up on YouTube.
I'm going to go with you. I think that Despicable Me 2 is going to run away with it. Now, one of the things that I want to bring up, you did not say this movie, but The Way, Way Back.
Oh, yes.
Also came out this week. I've heard some great things about it. Jim Rash, who is now, he plays the Dean on Community, but he has written the script for some award-winning films. I think that is kind of an underdog this week. It may show up in the 3rd place spot, or maybe 4th place spot. The interesting thing for me will be to see how Monsters University does this weekend, and if it beats out Despicable Me, or if it even beats out The Lone Ranger.
Okay, now it's time for this week's trivia question. Last week's trivia question I put on Twitter, and it was answered by Emily Leah. The question was, in the Enchanted Tiki Room, because of its 50th anniversary, I got the t-shirt, by the way, what are the names of the 4 main birds in the Tiki Room? The bird hosts, if you will. Josh, I'm sure you can rattle those off.
Oh, man. Jose, Pierre, Michael, Oh, France. Right?
Fritz.
Fritz, sorry.
Very close, very close. But hey, that was without looking it up and on the spot. So you gotta give it up there. This week, our trivia question has to do with the Lone Ranger. And it is, name at least 3 films other than The Lone Ranger Johnny Depp co-stars in with Helena Bonham Carter. Just tell me the 3 films. You can do it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And oh yes, and if you do get the answer right, you will be put into the Raffle of Doom. And the winner of the Raffle of Doom at the end of the year will receive my 2013 movie review yearbook. So it's a win-win, right?
That's totally a win-win, yeah.
And that brings us to this week's Babe of the Week. Earlier this week, I reviewed the low-budget film Frankie Go Boom. It was a comedy, and stars this girl. I've been a fan of this girl since like Mean Girls, so I had to throw her in as Babe of the Week this week. This is Lizzie Kaplan.
There's a lot of pretty girls in this city. There's a lot of pretty girls in this city. I'm trying to pick the right.
All right, well, that does it for this week. We want to thank Josh for coming, stopping by.
Yeah, no problem.
And we definitely hope to have you back. And looking forward to the Modern Mouse live show, July 7th on Modern Mouse Radio.
Yep, modernmouseradio.com. Come check it out. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram or Google+, my handle for all of those things is modernmousejosh. Or come over to modernmouseradio.com, read up on some of the blog posts, check out the videos. Keith always has awesome videos for the site. We have the podcasts, of course, the live shows. So there's always something new and fun to see. So leave your comments and come over and have some fun with us because we have a lot of fun at Modern Mouse.
Definitely, if you're a Disney fan, definitely check it out. So, for me, it's youtube.com/westsida515. And of course, you can like my page on Facebook, facebook.com/WestTroopAlist. You can follow me on Twitter @WesAlist and, get into the hijinks with the Sinister Six and Josh and all the good friends are there on Twitter. And of course, you can buy my book, A-List Review 2012 Movie Yearbook. Over 140 reviews, only $10. Contact me through Facebook or Twitter if you're interested.
Great, and you do look sharp in a vest.
Oh, thank you. So thanks again to Josh. Hopefully everyone had a great 4th of July weekend. And until next time, Troop out.